I was right. I was right. Oh my god, I was right. Hi guys, hello and welcome to another episode of Cinema Smoketography. I am your friendly neighborhood hookahologist, Tommy Atomic Rodriguez. How's everyone doing? Joining me today is my pillow and my other pillow, and I'm out here like Han Solo. No? Okay. So Isaac isn't joining me another week here. A little scheduling conflict, but he will be here next week when we talk about episode 5 of WandaVision. Today we are talking about episode 4, where we get a lot of stuff back, and we kind of get a lot of info of what's going on, not only in Westview, outside the world, and everything else like that, and a lot of Easter eggs. I mean, maybe not a lot of Easter eggs, but we do get a lot of the time frame kind of just expanded out here. So let's start with the timeline of everything. WandaVision is supposed to takes place 3 weeks after Endgame. Right after Thanos was dusted and everyone was blipped back into existence. The dusting was now renamed the blip. So here's what I'm gonna do. This episode, I think we're gonna start continuing this little vibe here. I'm gonna talk with Isaac about it. We're gonna recap the episode very quickly. Then we're going to talk about different aspects we noticed throughout the episode, and then our predictions for what's going to happen next episode. I think that's probably the best way to do it, and I've done things like that before in The Mandalorian, so I'm just going to do it now. Kind of makes sense. So let's recap. So like I said, the opening crawl before we get the Marvel intro is Monica Rambeau being blipped back into existence. Now, it's not like Far From Home where they just kind of made fun of it a little bit with the tuba player knocking someone over. Excuse me. We have Monica just kind of phase back into existence, into a hospital. And she had her mom, Maria Rambeau, as we know, known as Photon, from Captain Marvel, had cancer. So she's running around trying to figure out what's going on. Everyone's panicking. Everyone's just coming back into existence, where she meets a doctor, be like, hey, where's my mom? She's like, well, she died 3 years ago. No, like they think, and she notices that the cancer that she had came back 2 years after she had disappeared, after Hulk snapped everybody back into existence. This is kind of what's going on. Then we kind of go get the Marvel timeline, and we go to the new, I like to call it the new Triskelion, but it is Sword's headquarters, and it looks like a, let's see, it's, Sword stands for Sword headquarters stands for Security Weapon Observation Response Division. Sword. I think this is like a separate version of SHIELD. Now, if you read the comic books, you know Sword and SHIELD are completely different. SHIELD is on ground, while Sword deals with everything in space. But it really looks like the Triskelion. Like the design and everything of it really does look like the Triskelion, as we're kind of seeing this all kind of phase into effect here. Oh, by the way, I am smoking some Dirty Peach by London Fog. By Baja. London Fog is another brand by them. Is another flavor, but I'm smoking Dirty Peach because it's dirty. And who don't like some dirty peaches? See, this is what happens when I have way too much caffeine during the day. And this is what happens to me. I drink a lot of black tea. Now I'm just having a little bit of extra tea for the evening time. But we now know that Nick Fury is on a space station at the end of Far From Home. And it really does look like Sword is a space station kind of thing going on. We see a ship being kind of built like a launch pad there and everything else like that. So it could be right before Sword goes into space and we follow up with everyone up there. Because we do know Nick Fury is up there in space with the Skrulls, kind of planning for the secret invasion that we are now getting with Marvel's Phase 4. So what we are seeing here is that Monica goes back to Sword, and she was working there, and Maria brought it from the bottom up, and Maria was the director of Sword, and then Monica was good to be the next director, but she got passed up by someone else. So this is where we get into what's about to happen and how Monica gets to Westview. So as they're going, she is being briefed on, she's grounded, so no more space mission, and we get a kind of a hint here of a couple other things we'll get out in a little bit. But Monica is being sent to Westview to go meet up with an FBI agent because they have requested some help. And it was a missing persons case, and no one really she doesn't get why she's doing this, and goes to Westview and meets with Jimmy Woo. And Jimmy Woo has does some little up close magic that he learned from Scott Lang, really, to get up close magic school. Which kind of reminisces of what Wanda has. She has magical powers, so why not have... I wish I knew magic tricks. That would be cool. But I don't know any magic. Sorry, guys. So as she's going into everything, we see that Westview is right there, but the sheriff's never heard of it. Right? Like, the whole town went missing. So we find out that Jimmy has someone in witness protection in Westview, and he just disappeared off the map, and no one knows where he went. As we can see that everything in here is in Westview. So let's just say we're out here of the field that we saw at the end of episode 3, and this is Westview. You see the sign of Westview, and then they find out that Westview is just there, and there's some kind of field around it. Now Jimmy can't go in there because the field doesn't want him to, and Monica can feel it too. So she sends out a drone, and the drone disappears, which we now know is now we know that the drone that they sent looks like that helicopter that was in episode 2, the red helicopter that Wanda found in her bushes. Monica goes to see what happened, and then she gets sucked in. And that's when the rest of the sword kind of sets up the perimeter and see what's about to happen. So then we go into the next scene where Darcy Lewis and a couple other scientists of random things. We have bio-optics, we have technology, so on and so forth. Darcy dealing with science. Now she's a doctor, she's no longer an intern. So that's cool. And I miss Darcy so much. Like, her character is so great. Who is the actress that plays her? Let's find out, shall we? Give me a second here. Google. Yes. Who plays Darcy? This is Kat Dennings. She is so funny. You might know her from 2.5 Girls, but she really brings the character of Darcy Lewis to life here. She played the intern to Natalie Portman's Jane Foster. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, and Darcy's just trying to get a cup of coffee, and she's now noticing some static interference going on, and she realizes it's small doses of radiation and broadcast waves. So she gets an old TV, and then now it's like she's watching WandaVision. Like, she sees it, she gets an old TV, and she sees that everything's kind of going on. So they're watching it, and then they're watching WandaVision. And they're kind of seeing what's going on, and they see everything's black and white in the 60s and 70s in the TV show. So we do get a couple clips of extra episodes. So this is the WandaVision Lost episodes. Right, so they're watching it, and she notices that Wanda washes the dishes once an episode. Hello, Aries. Sorry, my cat's in heat, so she's being kind of annoying lately, but it's okay. I gotta get her fixed. Because I live on a balcony and I'm not letting her out to go get pregnant, and then she'll never come back. That's the problem. So what's crazy is that WandaVision is that the fact that not just the missing person from Jimmy Woo's investigation is missing, but the entire town is, and everyone's having selective amnesia. So anyone affiliated with Westview or has any connection or understands who is in Westview is just off everyone's radar. No one knows anything about them. Yes, babe. Come on. Over here. So we kind of see that everyone in this has selective amnesia of what's going on. So now that we have that established, we're trying to figure out, it's not just a missing person, it's a missing town. So they're having a board of everyone in town, and we now know that Wanda and Vision are in there, and everyone's like, wait, Vision's dead. Like, there's no, Wanda just disappeared. I know it's been a crazy couple of years, but why is Vision alive? More on that in a bit. So they're watching the episode, and they're trying to now connect with Wanda. So they see the radio and Monica. So Monica is now in the town, and they're trying to figure it out. And Monica didn't know who she was until she touched Wanda. You even see it in episode 2 where she's like, I'm... Touch the hand. Oh, I forgot her name. I forgot her name in the show. But she's like, hi, I'm person. And then she starts remembering who she is. And as they're watching, they try to get the message out. And that Jimmy's like, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda? And then Darcy notices that there are glitches in the show. So anytime anyone has any kind of realistic idea of what's going on here, it just switches out altogether. And we notice that when the beekeeper is just, we now realize it's just a regular sword agent going in there. And as he's going in there with a cable, the cable, once it crosses Westview, in his suit, crosses in his suit, this is the cable, and here, we'll say, turns into another end of a jump rope, and as they reel it in, they notice that it's a jump rope now. So the field around Westview doesn't just keep things in, but anything that tries to go into Westview changes to fit the period of what's going on. That's why the drone went from a drone to a toy helicopter. And that's why the cable instead of turning into a cable, turned into a jump rope and kind of slipped away. And the sword agent suit went from what it looks like a hazmat suit goes into a beekeeper suit, and Wanda just says no. And then it cuts, we see it on our screen, we see the episode of what just happened, but in Vision and Wanda's area, and when they're watching it from this television, it just kind of goes right back to it, right? Now this is the craziest part right here, is when Darcy is now watching the final episode. She's invested just like all of us are. Like, we're all invested in this TV show, and it kind of mimics what we're doing here. And a lot of people who make, there we go. A lot of us that make theories and have vision boards and strings attached to it, like, oh, what's going on here? It's just like what's going on in this sword base, or their field, trying to figure out what's going on. So it actually is kind of funny that we're seeing all of this go from one area to another, and I just keep watching this as I'm trying to pay attention, right? So we are now seeing all of this kind of happen in real time. And then once they figure out, when Geraldine, that's her name, when Geraldine goes missing, like, we just see Wanda talk to her, like, yo, you mentioned Ultron. And this is where it gets really crazy, because there's no mention of our reality, or the main reality, to WandaVision. And that's when Wanda kind of is like, oh no, that's not what's happening here, right? She's like, you need to leave. And then it just kind of clips, it finishes to the TV show, right? And then we were like, oh, what just happened? It was just, you see Wanda's intent, right? And then that's when we get, us as the viewers, we get the extra scene of what just happened. Because next thing you know, she's gone. And that's when you see, like, Wanda is threatened by Monica, who's like, you don't belong here. You're a trespasser. You're intruding. And she's trespassing? Really, Wanda? Monica is trespassing on the place you're trespassing? Evil queen. Evil witchcraft queen. It feels like once upon a time, and there was a curse casted on this town of Westview. That's what I see. Right? So once that all kind of happens, and then we get the last clip, it'll be like, it's Wanda. It's all Wanda. Oh my god. So Wanda is the villain. Well, one of the villains. Maybe not the main villain, but she is played in this scenario, in these last 2 episodes, she is shown as the villain. So, what in the hell did I just watch? If you haven't noticed by now, if you haven't watched WandaVision, you probably shouldn't be watching or listening to this podcast. Because this is what happens when that happens. You're going to get spoiled. Spoilers galore! So there's a lot of stuff to unpack. And then right when Wanda tells Vision that Geraldine's gone, we see that Vision, she looks down for a second, looks up at Vision, and he is dead. Like, in stone, gone. Oh, it was horrifying. I was freaking the duck out. Oh my god. It was bad. It was really creepy. Like, Vision looked dead, and then she looks up. He's purple again. So it was pretty interesting to kind of see. So let's get to... Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Now let's get to some of these Easter eggs I was talking to you about a little bit earlier. Now when Monica is walking with the director of S.W.O.R.D., I want to say S.H.I.E.L.D., but of S.W.O.R.D., she is walking to talk... They're talking like, oh, there's no more man-made missions. We're just going strictly drone and non-human technology to go up into space and to kind of figure out the threats out there. Well, clearly there's many. We have Ronan. We may have Galactus now because the Fantastic Four are coming. And it kind of makes me think, like, why are man-made missions obsolete? Is it because the Fantastic Four went up there and something went terribly wrong? So there's that. We get a lot of different kind of callbacks to a lot of different things. Obviously the Ultron scene, and they kind of see that. And then we do get Vision's horrifying face and what the reality is. Maybe Wanda went to Westview for some reason, probably to see Agatha, right? Or Agnes, as she's in the show. To try to bring Vision back. And there's some way that she can do that in Westview with chaos magic. Because we all know Wanda Maximoff has this, and it could be... I don't think we're going to get the X-Men in this, although a lot of people are theorizing this is how they come into play, maybe. But if she has this kind of power to pretty much create such a huge field around it, and then Darcy also mentions briefly that they're using kind of like barf technology around everything to kind of simulate everything. So even then, it's just a lot of craziness going on there, and we all know that, well, us who read or me listening to Comic Historian on YouTube, kind of know a lot of these different storylines. If you're really reminiscent of the House of M, where Wanda got rid of half the mutant population, but maybe she brings them into play here. I don't know, but there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's interesting to see what's going to happen going forward for WandaVision. We now see that a lot of this stuff that we're seeing is kind of real time in the Marvel universe. In that we have a lot of these different people disappearing in there, and now she's creating new lines for them. And it is very interesting that they're using radio waves to kind of broadcast like a sitcom kind of thing here. So I don't know what's gonna happen going forward, but this was we're at the halfway point for WandaVision, because WandaVision only has 8 episodes, and we're at episode 4, so we got 4 more to go. And right now it's actually really, really interesting to see what's going to happen next. So my theory is that somehow Wanda does bring Vision back, and we don't know what's going to happen. There's a Easter egg there's a episode 5 trailer in here for what's going on, but I'm not gonna watch that because I kind of want to be I wouldn't say interested. I want to be kind of seeing what's going on each episode. Right? I don't want spoilers. If you have spoilers, do not tell me. I do not like them, and I don't want to watch extra trailers because I like to be surprised every week. That's why I don't have cable. I have streaming services, so I don't have to worry about spoilers anywhere. There we go. But it's very interesting to see like Wanda being this kind of like she's broken. Like she lost the love of her life and she really has no one, so she is grieving pretty hard. Because let's take a look at Wanda Maximoff, because she lost her brother Pietro in Age of Ultron. Then she fell in love with Vision and had Hawkeye and everything else like that, like kind of keep her grounded. Hawkeye's with his family, so she could lean on him, but she probably chooses not to. Tony Stark is dead, who she lived in Avengers Mansion with him, right? Captain America is super old and just kind of doesn't have the capacity to take care of it. And he probably doesn't want to be a burden to Wanda, right? Falcon is off with Bucky and doing his own thing, so she is literally by herself. Thus, this entire thing. So it is kind of easy to see for her to make these kind of constructs of what's going on with her, because she's grieving and she's all by herself. So we kind of get that feel like she has really no one to kind of be there for her. So maybe she did seek out Agatha to kind of help her unlock her hidden potential to bring Vision back. The only person that she views is the love of her life. Right, so it is going to be interesting to see what kind of goes forward, and we see Wanda's grieving, and we're all happy to see Paul Bettany come back as Vision, but at the same time, like I can see, at least how she's really grieving and dealing with that, and everyone deals with lost loved ones in their own way, but Wanda is trying to bring back Vision, and I theorize that they probably could have brought Vision back after Endgame, and they could have used vibranium to Shuri could have brought him back, because like we were saying before, there's a whole lot of Vision left in there because he's the Mind Stone, because he's Ultron, and because he's Jarvis. But we don't see any of that. All we see is that Vision is dead, right? Because apparently the Mind Stone was the major component for him to bring him to life. But hey, we can't really dwell on all of that because it's kind of crazy right now for Wanda. So it is going to be very interesting to kind of see what's going on. My theory is that Agatha is going to start playing a bigger role in there, because we've seen in one of the trailers that Vision touches her, like, oh my god, am I dead? No, why? Because you are. And that's where we kind of see that. I wonder what happened to the beekeeper. Did he become? There's another theory where he became the ice cream man in the second episode, right? He just got a new role, but we don't know. He could have just been pushed back out like Monica was, and then she threw her through 4 different walls out of Westview. So she literally broke the 4th wall, technically, right, by sending Monica out. And now we're gonna see, could Monica get back into Westview? Because Jimmy Woo wasn't welcome there, but now that Monica was sent out, could she get back in there somehow? But we're gonna have to see what happens. I think the wall kind of understands now, like, yeah, no, she's been in here, she's a threat, we don't want her here. So that's another interesting fact too to kind of think about, right? So I want to know your guys' thoughts. On my Instagram page, I'm gonna post every Thursday or Friday what your guys' thoughts or what your predictions are on Instagram. So find that under the _hookahologist to kind of see. I want to see what your guys' thoughts are, what you think is going to happen next, and we'll read some of these off on the show, right? Because I want to know your guys' thoughts. I should be interacting with you as we do this podcast, and I think it would be a lot of fun. So one thing I do predict is that Agatha is going to start playing a bigger role probably in the next couple of episodes, and we're going to find out that maybe she's the one who manipulated Wanda to do this, but we don't know just yet. I think that we're got a lot of people like knowing that Monica Rambeau ended up being Spectrum in the comic books and get her powers. Did going into Westview give her powers? We don't know. Although it would be kind of interesting to see how that kind of develops, if she even gets powers. Maybe it's explored a little bit more in Captain Marvel 2, but for right now, it's very kind of up in the air if she's going to get her powers through WandaVision or some other source. it's really up in the air right now. Halfway through the season or series, I don't know if we're gonna get another season of WandaVision. Maybe, I hope so, because I think this is great. So that's all I really got for you guys this video. Once again, it's probably not even that long. I don't know until I go into post. But thank you for joining me this episode 4 of WandaVision. To find me on Instagram and or Twitter, you're gonna find under _hookahologyst. To find this beautiful face on Facebook, you're gonna look under Tommy Rodriguez, and to follow us on Dang it, I can't talk today. Follow us on Facebook as well under the Hookahologyst, where we post our podcasts, YouTube videos, and everything else like that. And like I said, be on the lookout, and I want to know your thoughts and predictions in the comment section, or even on my Instagram post, because we're going to start sharing some of these on the show. So that's going to be fun. Going forward, I want to really do that. That's going to be pretty awesome. So until next time, guys. Oh, I almost forgot. Silly me. If you want to support the podcast here as well, I'm going to leave the link in the description below. For 99 cents a month, you too can help the Hookahologyst podcast, also known as Cinema Smoketography. Mess that up a little bit here. And for 99 cents a month, you too can help us out, and so we can get new provisions, start getting better microphones for me and Isaac here. Until next time, guys. Keep smoking.